It was the night of April 15th, 1912. The magnificent RMS Titanic, hailed as unsinkable, plunged into the icy depths of the North Atlantic Ocean. In one of history's most infamous maritime disasters, over 1,500 souls were lost. But amidst the wreckage and the heartbreaking loss, a miracle occurred. A small boy, barely 2 years old, was pulled from the frigid waters, alive. He was alone, silent, and without a name. To the world, he became known simply as the unknown child of the Titanic. His story is one of the most poignant and enduring mysteries to emerge from that fateful night. So, who was this little boy? How did he survive when so many others didn't? And how did a century-old mystery finally get solved, giving a name to the nameless? Let's dive into the incredible true story of Sidney Leslie Goodwin. Our story begins not on the grand staircases of the Titanic, but in the bustling third-class decks. The boy, whose name the world wouldn't know for nearly 100 years, boarded the ship in France with his father and older brother. They were the Goodwin family, part of a wave of hopeful immigrants dreaming of a fresh start in America. They weren't wealthy, but they were full of hope for the future. They had packed their lives into trunks, ready to build a new home across the ocean. Little did they know, their journey would be cut tragically short. When the unthinkable happened, when the Titanic struck that colossal iceberg, panic and chaos erupted. The lower decks, where third-class passengers like the Goodwins were housed, were the first to feel the chilling effects of the flooding. Imagine the scene: alarms blaring, water rushing in, and a frantic scramble for safety. In the midst of this pandemonium, the boy's father, Frederick Goodwin, fought desperately to save his children. He grabbed his two young sons, Sidney and his brother, and battled through the crowds, pushing his way toward the lifeboats on the upper deck. It was a race against time, a desperate attempt to reach salvation. But the odds were stacked against them. By the time they reached the deck, the situation was dire. Lifeboats were being launched, but chaos reigned. In the confusion, a heart-wrenching separation occurred. Only one of the boys, the younger one, was placed into a lifeboat. We don't know the exact circumstances. Perhaps he was passed over the heads of the crowd, or maybe placed in the arms of a stranger just as a boat was being lowered. What we do know is that his father and brother were left behind on the sinking ship. When the rescue ship, the Carpathia, arrived on the scene hours later, they found a devastating sight. Amidst the debris and the floating bodies, they discovered a small child, miraculously alive. He was wrapped snugly in a blanket, fast asleep, seemingly unaware of the immense tragedy that had unfolded around him. He was a symbol of innocence in a sea of despair. The sailors who found him were moved to tears. They cared for him, but a crucial piece of information was missing: his identity. He couldn't speak his name, and no one on the rescue ship knew who he was. In the weeks that followed, the story of the unknown child captured the world's attention. Newspapers from New York to London published his photograph, a cherubic face with wide, innocent eyes. The headlines pleaded for information. Families who had lost loved ones in the disaster anxiously scanned the papers, each one hoping against hope that this little boy could be their own. But despite the global search, no one came forward to claim him. No relative recognized him. He remained a mystery, a heartbreaking symbol of all the lost children of the Titanic. With no family to claim him, the community of Halifax, Nova Scotia, the city where many of the victims were brought, took him into their hearts. The sailors from the rescue ship, who felt a special connection to the boy they had saved, paid for his burial. He was laid to rest in the Fairview Lawn Cemetery with a small, simple headstone. The inscription was profoundly moving. It read, "Erected to the memory of an unknown child whose remains were recovered after the disaster to the Titanic." For decades, that was how he was remembered, our unknown child. His grave became a pilgrimage site for those touched by the Titanic's story. For nearly a century, his identity remained one of the great unsolved mysteries of the Titanic. But then, at the dawn of the 21st century, science offered a new path to the truth. In 2007, researchers were granted permission to conduct a DNA test. They didn't even need to disturb the grave. All they needed was a tiny fragment of a leather shoe that had been recovered with the boy's body and preserved in a museum. Using advanced genetic technology, scientists were able to extract a DNA profile. They then compared it to the DNA of surviving relatives of families who had lost children on the Titanic. After all those years, they finally had a match. The results were conclusive. The unknown child's name was Sidney Leslie Goodwin. He was just 19 months old when he died. The DNA test not only gave him his name back, but also painted the full, tragic picture of his family's fate. It was discovered that his entire family, his father, his mother, and all 5 of his siblings, had perished in the sinking. Not a single member of the Goodwin family survived. The dream of a new life in America had ended in the cold Atlantic. Today, Sidney Goodwin's grave is one of the most visited and poignant memorials related to the Titanic. His original headstone, bearing the title Unknown Child, is still there, a testament to the mystery that captivated the world for so long. But now, a new marker stands beside it, finally bearing his name, Sidney Leslie Goodwin. His story is a powerful reminder that behind the staggering statistics of the Titanic disaster, there were individual lives, individual dreams, and individual tragedies. He was the boy who lost everything, but whose story of innocence and loss has endured for generations, ensuring that he and his family will never be forgotten. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as moving as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the forgotten corners of history. We'll see you in the next video.